All right, people. So, you know, 2020, the film festival was completely online, which, although weird, and it did, halve the amount of films we got to see, it did allow you to see things at certain times which you might not normally have been able to have caught, right? And it was always interesting, how will this year change, right? Will everything be online and in person, or what's going to happen? Well, a good few of the films are being shown online, right? Which is pretty good. And one of those films was Queen of Glory. So yeah, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna check it out. Well, to be honest, I did think it was in person. So after coming out of fuck, Run Gone Wrong, right? After coming out of that, I yeah, was all ready to stick around, and then it was pointed out that this was online, which is good because that would have been that would have been a you know unfortunate event otherwise. So this is the new film from Nana Mensah, right? She wrote and directed it. Um, now she, um, yeah, she's brought on a nice crew to help her out. So producing is Bath Akoto, um, Anya Migdal, Kelsey Robbins, and Jamad Washington. Cooper Troxel co-produces, Lids Ama Appa executive producers, Akil Mum Jong Kim line producers, and Lauren Lopes associate producers. Cinematography is Sybil Martin. It is edited by Cooper Traxel. Uh, Austin Ashamal is on art direction. Yeah. And obviously there's a lot of other people, too many to list, people, too many to list, but our cast, right? So as well as writing and directing, Mana also stars as Sarah Obu. Right. We then have Oberon K.A. Ajapong as Godwin Obu, her dad. Um, we have got, who else is up in here? It's always trying to do it in an order which would make sense, right? Uh, because yeah, usually the way names and all of that are listed, it doesn't know. You know what I mean? It's never like the relationships of the characters on the screen. Which yeah, it's always an interesting one to me. I never quite get why it's done that way. All right, so Dan Muller is played by Ward Horton, and yeah, that's a interesting relationship. We have Catelyn, who's played by Madeline Weinstein. Um, have Professor Santiago, who's one of her colleagues. That she's played by Perva Bedi. Pitt, who works in the bookshop, is played by Miko. Um, we have Anna Colon, who's played by Maria Cristina Oliveras. Um, doo, doo, doo. Oh no, my bad. Mm, Dan is not connected to Sarah. Dan is her neighbor's husband. Yes. Now his daughter is Julia, played by Tarina Milo. Um, yeah, I'm just terrible. Emma, um, who's also a neighbor, played by Emma Kay. Uh, yeah, Tanya Malona, played by Anya Migdal. That's about it. All right, we'll leave it at that. Now, the gist of the film is this: Sarah Obe has a perfect-ish life. She's studying for a PhD, and her married boyfriend has nearly broken things off with his wife. But when her mother suddenly dies, Sarah is shocked to discover that she's inherited her Christian bookshop, and she soon finds herself back in her childhood home in the Bronx. As Sarah struggles with funeral arrangements for both a white people funeral and a traditional Ghanaian ceremony, and tries to get rid of the shop, she begins to reevaluate her life. In doing so, she regains a connection to her culture. So, yeah, this is an interesting little indie flick, right? Because that's it. There's and that this isn't said with any disrespect or anything like that. There's no frills attached, right? You get this kind of gritty, hard boiled kind of feeling look at this whole situation. Um, like we open up with a woman dancing, right? In Ghanaian dress, dancing, two people behind her drumming. And yeah, it's very colorful. We then kind of see a lot of fabrics and patterns, as it opens up with some flashes to kind of Sarah standing. And it's not a bad opening. You do wonder what it means, which does become clear later on in the film. Okay. But yeah, so we're with Sarah. We then see her packing bags. See her packing bags, but you know something, like I think depending on your background, you kind of have a gist of what's going down, because the things that just from the things that are getting packed, right? So it's not for a trip. This is for someone to take somewhere, right? Um, and so she goes to we see her traveling. She's on the subway. She turns up at house. It's her aunt's house, and right, I think one of the opening things her aunt says to her does give you a feel of the disconnects in the film. Like her aunt is, she pats her arm. It's like, you look like you've been eating, right? Which is like, yeah, you look fat or bigger than you did the last time I saw you. It's not really a compliment. It's not really a compliment. And then I was all like, how much does bag weigh? Because yeah, if you're shipping it or taking it, you want to know, because weight allowances and all of that. And she's like, oh yeah, I didn't weigh it, but you should be fine. And then I was like, get on the scales and hold it, and we can work it out. And she's like, I don't weigh myself. And it's all getting a little tense until a phone call comes and she gets the jet. So we see that happen. Um, but you like, because Sarah just seems very uncomfortable here. Seems very uncomfortable. We then see her at work, right? We see her rushing to work. She gets to work, having a phone call, right? Which is all a little heated. She's trying to sort some things out. Supposedly she's moving to Ohio. So we have her with this. then her colleague turns up, and her colleague is just, ugh, the workload, it's crazy, and they expect us to do all of this and mark, and there's not time and work. And the thing is, right? I don't know what Sarah's thinking, but she comes out with just like this quip, right? This quip that ain't necessarily necessary, right? Now, you're only saying this kind of shit if you don't really give a fuck about the other person, right? And it's just like, oh, okay, okay. It gives us a clue in who she is. Now, I mean, you could also drop it to a close friend, but you get the kind of feel that they're not close friends, right? So we're seeing all of this. A comment is made about a dude who comes in, one of their work colleagues. And yeah, so things are moving, things are moving. We then see her. There's a fafu with answering the door, but we see her with her boyfriend, right? Who we then are like, oh, okay, okay. And boy, like the whole boyfriend, you know where the whole boyfriend situation is going. You definitely know where that is going, right? Because I mean, it says it in the copy, right? She's dating a married dude, and listen, how are you expecting someone to leave their partner, right? Leave their family. If someone's telling you they're leaving their family and they haven't left their family, they ain't leaving their family. I think we have seen time and time and time again, right? It is written in the anodes. Right? That shit don't happen, man. And I think like there's a lot of things and a lot of things undercurrents and stuff that isn't said here. You do get the feeling that there's a lot of information she knows, but she doesn't really want to face it, right? That's the vibe that you get, just from body language, the things she says, how she reacts, all of this. But that's all playing out. And then suddenly, boom, she gets a phone call. Her mum's dead, had an aneurysm. And so that then forces a whole load of things on her, right? Her dad's coming over. So she now has to, look after her dad, which, you kind of feel they haven't seen each other for a while because the introduction, like their meeting, whoo, super uncomfortable, right? Super uncomfortable. But we have this and hey, the gunade, right? And I just think African, Caribbean, you know, I mean, there's a certain age point where the parents, you know, look, if anyone's from that background, you know, right? It's just the parents will talk in a certain way. They will talk in a certain way, and you get no respect at all. It's simple, right? So we have this. He's in her house, but it's just like, you need to clean this. You need to do this. You need to wait on me. You need to, and it's just like, oh, and it's grating. It's grating. But we have all of this going on. She's arranging things. And I think one of the things that kind of really signifies her, just it's awkwardness around everything is when she first visits the butchers, right? First visits the butchers, and like she does not like that. She does not like that. You know what I mean? But I thought that really does show this cultural shift, this cultural awakening, having to re-immerse yourself in this thing. But yeah, we see all of these things go down, and just the way she is around people, right? She's kind of standoffish, rude. But as the film goes on, bear with me, people, my eye is like, ooh. But as it goes on, we see these barriers, these walls come down, right? I think it's the way we hear her talking on what, especially what she wants, what's happening in Ohio and everything like that. It just seems she isn't necessarily looking at what's best for her. But as the film goes on, we see her pivot slightly, right? And so these relationships with these different people, her neighbors, you um, just like the bookshop, books. Can't speak, motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Pit in the bookstore. Right? We see these things shift. Now, some of them take longer, some of them don't, right? But we see all of this happening, right? She doesn't necessarily want this bookstore, but I think she then starts to see the community that's there, right? There's definitely a judgment on Pitt when they first meet. Definitely a judgment on Pitt, right? Which does change. It changes. But Pitt's funny was Pitt's just straight talking, ain't giving a fuck, but still very respectful, right? Still super respectful. Loved her mother because of the chances she gave him. But he will look, if you fuck up, he'll tell you you're fucking up, but he will then he's still respecting you, right? And we see all of this. So it's really interesting how all of this is folded together, right? And like you see these different levels and layers of relationship and conversations and everything like that. And yeah, it is super compelling. I did enjoy this film, right? It's very nice to see all of this, right? Even it's not action based, right? It's not kind of set around this high concept ideal or anything like that. It's just more of a slice of life, but it's a slice of life that's very interesting that maybe not everyone gets to see or has witnessed before, you know? And it just shows like different prejudices and viewpoints that can be changed, right? And the baggage we carry with us, right? I feel that's what this film contains. And it is, yeah, it's very good. The performances, right? We see these emotional journeys that Sarah is on, right? We see that so clearly, so clearly, and I yeah, Mana really brings her to life, right? Just man, the scene towards the end when she's dancing at the funeral, whoo, you know what I mean? That like words, no words. We're just watching her, and yeah, you feel it. You really feel it, right? And then these, interactions with Pitt, with her dad, with the neighbor. You just see it all, and it's all very impactful to Sarah and her evolution, her growth, her understanding, which then takes you to the end, right? And I think, although you probably have a clue of how the ending will like coalesce, it's still a nice ending, right? And the way it ends too, because it's not and blah 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 blah. Or but it just kind of happens, and you're like, yeah, no, 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 that feels right. That feels right, man. You know, so so. Right now, this obviously aired today. Um, was at the Soho Curzon, which is very nice. Now, there are two screenings tomorrow. One is in person, one is online, right? So the in person, that seems to be sold out at the moment. That's at the Lux West End, the Odeon. That's the one in Leicester Square, right? The new super duper in Leicester Square. So that's there. That's at 3 o'clock tomorrow, Sunday, the 10th of October. But never fear, people, because you could watch it on the BFI player, right? Get to watch it on the BFI player. So the access is from 2 o'clock tomorrow, 10th of October, and you get it until 2 the next day on the 11th of October. Right. So yeah, it's a 24-hour. You have 24 hours to watch the film if you get it on the iPlayer. But yeah, you know, that's still available. But as always said, if you want to see it in the cinema, always double check because, yeah, there's often returns. Okay, so two showings tomorrow, one in person, one online. So iPlayer people, and yeah, I'd say give this a look, right? If you like your slower pace things, if you like things set in reality, dealing with real shit, then Queen of Glory is good. Now it's a play on. I think it could have been Princess of Glory, right? Because I think Sarah, we're seeing the come up, right? Or heiress to glory, but we're seeing her come up, right? But we could definitely say she ends with that queenship or that queenship in grasp. But yes, Queen of Glory, I dug it. I did dig it, people. So find out if you dig it too. So I will say there's no official release as of yet. Looks like it's doing the festival circuit. So yes, tomorrow might be the only opportunity you get to see it for the time being. So yes, remember 2 p.m. Sunday the 10th on the iPlayer, 3 p.m. at the Odeon Lux, Leicester Square. All right, Queen of Glory people, do you